Hello everyone, this is my brother. This is a channel to share jewelry knowledge and vary my industry experience. If you haven't subscribed, I hope you subscribe. I have published many YouTube posts in a row which are about diamonds. In fact, I feel a little boring. So this time I will talk about gems. Before, there was a YouTube friend who asked me about some gems. Actually, gems, I think it's more interesting and beautiful than diamonds. So if I had it, well, I will slowly talk about some more popular gems and share them with you, but I believe that there should be fewer gemstone people. That is, for example, I will talk about Topuz writing this issue. If I went through this YouTube, I think there are many people who haven't even heard of the Topuz stones, and would they be interested to click to watch this YouTube? Let's get to the point. This time I choose to talk about sapphire. Sapphire is called saphi in English, which comes from Latin, which means blue. Explanation. In fact, sapphire and buried ruby are both classified as a mineral called liver flesh, but they will protect the world. Red is called ruby, and all colors other than red are called saphi in Chinese. It is called sapphire, so in fact, saphi is called sapphire in Chinese. In fact, besides blue, there are actually many colors such as light blue, green, yellow, gray, and even transparent purple, pink, and pink. There are red colors, but they are all called sapphires. If you sometimes hear me say that they are called sapphires in Chinese, they are colored sapphires. What about rubies? I will talk about it next time, so this time I will focus on sapphires. Besides, not all blue gemstones are called sapphires. That is, for example, I talk about Topuz first, which is light blue and sky blue. It is blue, but it doesn't belong to sapphire, but sapphire. There are two keywords. One is called toilet carveli and the other is called toilet carveli. It's called Royal Lanai. Let's talk about the stabbing car bureau first. If it's an authentic car bureau, it's a place in Kashmir, which is a place in the north of India. There was a short period of time, it produced some beautiful sapphires, and the color is just like a German national flower porcelain car valley. It's blue and blue, it's very beautiful, but it's been suspended for many years, so if you are really talking about the next episode of Mill Sapphire, you are going to the auction. You can see it first, okay? But yeah, you may think that, it's not. As for Brother Aziming, when I see some certificates, there are some JRS who will write a rating which is called Chichegu, but it is 1. In fact, in the early days, there was a standard for Chichegu, and there are some differences with the same color, but in fact, there is a color called Royal Mail by default, which is sapphire. The highest grading under the Royal Arashi can be graded by a secondary car bureau. Of course, what if you say the most beautiful sapphire ever? The most valuable thing is the Casimir Sapphire Stabbing Bureau, but it is already tied to the auction level, so I won't talk about being off the ground. I will talk about the royal land being buried at home together. When I saw the Stabbing Bureau, hey, Huang Jialan, I once had a friend and I both made jewelry, so I laughed when I talked about the terms of royal land. Ming, let me tell you, I think it's because Wang Jialan turned green. That is, if you are a foreigner, that is, you don't know Chinese, I understand. But if you speak Cantonese and it's not suitable, you are a jewelry maker, and you think that when I talk about Royal Land, I think my speech is funny and Chinese. I think this person is really worthy. Wang Jialan's English name is Royal Blue. This kind of blue is a bright color, so bright with a little purple tone. The color originated from a royal family in the 18th century. The color is so good, you may remember it. Diana, Fei Wong, there was a sapphire ring before. It was a royal blue color. The saturation was so high. It was a classic blue. If you go to a jewelry shop, you see it blue and you think it's so beautiful, it's blue. Of course, royal blue actually has a range. Some are dark, some are light, but some are so thick that there may be a little dark, so it is. What a range. So I want to judge a color when try to look at the real thing as much as possible so that you can be accurate first, so that you can compare it with each other. If you go to a jewelry store when to buy sapphires, why don't you look at the sapphire at the counter? Why should you be careful? Why don't you? Of course, you can take a glance indoors. If possible, just carry a sapphire. Go outside and have a look in the sun. If you can take a look at some warm lights and cold lights indoors, because What a gem! It is affected by different lights, including ultraviolet rays, which will have a very obvious impact on colors. So you can think about it. If sapphire is sold online, what color will you see? The computer can tune the color certificate, and even the color of the same grade can be different. So when buying these gemstones, it is basically possible to buy them online. In fact, unless you have a lot of money, follow the following picture. You can see the different blue colors of sapphires. Range different, of course it's all about eating and checking your budget. Of course, it is recommended to buy Huang Jialan's one with more beautiful colors as much as possible. Both of them are more valuable, but if I suggested it is for example a young girl, you can actually buy some. The color is lighter because I personally think that the color is lighter as if it is born after the meeting, and the price is relative to the same, and it is flat, so it is buried in the same row. Actually, there are mainlanders. I really like to fry some gemstones. That is, I will finish frying each kind of gemstone. One kind will fry the other kind, and I will fry this Hainan burger in the mainland. It's so expensive, but I am almost the same light sapphire. The price is about the same, but I can tell you that sapphire is worth more than Hainan treasure. If the price is about the same, the color is about the same, I would rather ask you to buy a light colored sapphire, except that this light color is not good. Light color or pink sapphire, why not bury a purple sapphire in recent years? Mainlanders are so fried about these two colors, so the price is very expensive, especially the purple one. This year, the price has risen to an exaggeration. In addition, except for the two colors, there are also yellow sapphires. The color of yellow sapphire can be so rich that some of them are almost orange, which is very beautiful. Sometimes some people think that it is too expensive to turn yellow. Can you use yellow and red sapphires instead? It is absolutely possible. I usually do some. The style of jewelry is so good, even if it is a little fine, it may be 1 or 2 copies or 10 copies. Sometimes I will use yellow sapphires instead of yellow diamonds because the cost of yellow diamonds is really expensive. In fact, if you compare yellow diamonds, they can cost 3 cents or even 5 cents, and you can replace them or even some large stones. Actually, yellow sapphire, if the cut is beautiful, it's really the same as the yellow diamond. Of course, the diamond points are all 1 cent and it's really 1 cent. Okay, the other one, I just want to emphasize that. Why do I talk about sapphire this time? Actually, it was before. A netizen left a message on YouTube and wanted me to talk about a kind of stone. The pronunciation is quite proud. I am an expert in calling it papapa in English, which is like papapa. In fact, it is actually a stone orchid fish. So it is the color of a lotus flower. So what are the terms? I'm from Sri Lanka. Actually, my jewelry industry is actually quite international. Everyone can be an Indian. My own English tone, I have it from Hong Kong, mainland people, different countries, and even South Americans. I speak Spanish and I am not used to English, so I speak many languages. It's like I speak sapphire first in English, which is called saphi. Well, I have some experts which are called sapphire and some are called sapphify. In fact, everyone can understand it. Let's talk about Papa first. In fact, there is a kind of colored sapphire in the near row. How can you explain it? In fact, in 2018, there was a Prince Eugene who was the grandson of the Queen of England. Let's set the score. Such a boyfriend's engagement ring is made of papaba, so some people think that, wow, the royal family uses it, and they begin to pay attention to a kind of stone. In fact, it's a color. It's so beautiful. You can call it pink-orange. Of course, the market will think that it's a pink tone and it must be an orange tone. In fact, it's 50% each, half and half. In the market, it's thought that this tone is the best because it has a little orange. So look at the color. You tie it so brightly, so bright, so why? I know there are some girls who like a color. In fact, it's just a sapphire kind. In fact, it's the same price and it's probably a better grading color. It's about 20,000 Hong Kong dollars around, but in the past year or two, in fact, except for diamonds, the price of gemstones has risen very significantly. Today, I told you that it may cost 80,000 to 20,000 yuan. In fact, the price may be half a year or half a year. Different when you pick this kind of stone. Some people prefer more pink, some people. I just like orange. In fact, there are 2 color categories in this series. One is called the sunrise color and the other is called the sunset color. The most expensive one in the middle is the most pink one. The more expensive one is then the orange one. It is the third series season, the price is about the same. In fact, you can see a picture of the sunrise with the same color. Musical color. Actually, I personally think that the color is rare and valuable because of this gem. Actually, the department has been in recent years. I'm so excited first. So the value of these colored sapphires is supply demand. Come on, after you finish talking about this, Papa. Actually, sapphire, there is also green, but it's green. It's not like it. Add nature green Carat. To put it strictly, the green is so bright, the green is a little color cast and it feels a little yellow. Or there. It's blue or purple, so green sapphire is relatively flat, but let's talk about it. In fact, let's see if anyone will speculate on it. Why don't you tell me that all the stones are speculated? That is, I can't estimate it. No, even Hainan Island will be speculated. 10 years ago, Hainan Island was very affordable, but the price of real sapphires was estimated. I finished talking about so many colors first. Actually, what about sapphires? There are some complete ties. How special is the transparent mold? It looks like a diamond. Of course, the diamond is so shiny. Let's talk about it. 10 years ago, I bought a 10-cut fully transparent mold sapphire. Why don't I get it? What's the stone? The 10 cuts are actually a friend fighting for my money, so I paid back the money and gave me this gem. In fact, at that time, my friend just didn't want to pay me back the cash and said, hey, give me the stone. Well, in fact, the stone was probably around 20,000 Hong Kong dollars at that time. Yeah, 10 cuts of sapphire, fully transparent defects are VBS Club, and the price is, it has risen to 70,000 to 90,000 Hong Kong dollars. I was thinking about fighting for my money before, but my family was really hanging out. But that's it. I've been at the bottom of the cage for 10 years. That is, if you are interested, you can contact my younger brother. I have pictures and the truth to look at. Let's talk about diamonds. If you ignore the geese, it's 10 or 9. So it's the most important thing besides diamonds. Stones come, so what? Sometimes you will hear people's words and watches. Are you so excited? The surface of the sapphire is actually just a case for you to listen to. As an artificial sapphire, it is so hard, so it is not easy to scratch. If you have opened my Son Minger Jewelry channel talk before, there is a YouTube story that talks about diamonds and gems. In fact, there are a lot of ash residues in the air. It's so hard that if you smear it on multiple surfaces. If your surface hardness is lower than 7, then there is a chance to dig out the surface. So there are some plastic surfaces. Why is the rubber surface so easy to use? That's why. So what about the sapphire surface? It's normal to scare you. Even if you wipe it with a paper towel or wipe it with a shirt, it's a suppose. It's very difficult to spend. Of course, you can't chisel it. If you chisel it, it will collapse. It's not easy to spend, but it doesn't mean that it's not easy to spend, but it doesn't mean that it's easy to rot. There is actually a lot of detailed knowledge about sapphires, but I think consumers need to know, hey, I think it may have gone up and down. If I may have something I don't remember, maybe miss, maybe you leave a message downstairs to mention me. Sometimes I'm really a miss. As for the more academic ones, it's like saying, in fact, the ingredients, chemical structures, etc., everyone is taking advantage of it. I'm talking about it. Today, I'm sharing it up and down. If you have any other jewelry knowledge, if you want to know, you can leave a message. Or if you want to see other jewelry knowledge, you can watch my previous short films. Bye-bye.